everybody, welcome back. Happy New Book Tuesday to everybody celebrating, and welcome back to the Cozy Cat Reader channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to talk about three of the, we're going to talk about the three book tracking apps that I use. We're going to compare them. I'm going to give you a brief history of everything that I could find on them, and I'm going to have some screen recordings showing you what they look like on your phone. I will get some screen images and recordings of what they look like on your computer, and all in all, we'll just talk about what it is to be a book tracking app, whether you're deciding between which one you would like to start your book tracking journey with, or maybe you'll watch this and you'll decide that whatever you're using, you know what, one of the ones that I'm using sounds better. And I know it's crazy to use three different apps to track your books, but while I go over them, I will get into all of the different reasons of why I have three. There's not a lot of reasons. It's mostly just because I'm an indecisive person, and they all sounded good. They all sounded good. Maybe at the end of this, I'll pick one and just have that be my one, but probably not. I think everyone should do what's best for them. So if you want to have 20 book tracking apps for all of the different things, I think you should do that. And before we get started, if there is an app that you're using that I'm not using, please let me know in the comments. And I promise I will definitely start using them and I'll give them a try. And if there's actually a lot that I'm not using, maybe we'll do a catch-up video sometime in the future and compare more book tracking apps. I don't know if Hades was ever in the frame, but he did just jump off the couch and walk on by us. So cats are in the room with us. I have squeaky earrings. Let's get going. All right, let's get started with the one, the only, what I believe is the original book tracking app, Goodreads. Now, I do have my notebook sat in front of me with notes that I took while I was looking into the three different apps that we're going to be talking about today. And if you notice me glancing down, it's just because I want to get the most accurate information to you guys. In this way, I'm not nervous and I get everything that needs to be said out. So Goodreads is an American founded and based application. It was founded in December of 2006 and it launched in January 2007. Now in 2006 and 2007, it was, I believe, completely computer based, and you would log onto their website and that is how you would log and track all of your books. By March of 2013, Goodreads announced that they had been acquired and they were merging with Amazon. Now, this was kind of a big deal because before this point, Goodreads kind of had the cornerstone on book tracking apps or like not even tracking, but book rating. And Amazon wanted in. Amazon was starting to sell books and they wanted to be able to rate and review them as well. So by having this merge, we got two very big companies becoming one and benefiting from each other. Now, when Goodreads was originally founded, the reason behind it was the creators thought there was an issue in discoverability of new books in this growing digital era. And they believe by having this online database of basically every single book, users could log in and find books that were within their interest. And then when they were shopping, they could go specifically for those books. And they weren't just wandering around going off of nothing. It also built a community of readers so you could have your friends on there and you could see what they were reading And in this age where people were friends with people living in different cities or states or countries, this was a way that you could keep up with what your friends were reading and see if maybe you wanted to be reading those books as well. Again, when we look at the 2013 merger with Amazon, this is just another way they help each other because at this point, Amazon was starting to sell books. And if you have a platform that is like, here are the books that you should be interested in, this is what we're promoting to you, and these are what all your friends are reading, well, then you can hop right over to their associated seller, Amazon, and add the book to your cart, and it would be at your doorstep in 2 to 3 business days. And if we're in 2025, sometimes same day delivery. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the things that I personally don't agree with Amazon, but we can see how in 2013 this was making big waves. And if we jump again into the future to 2023 in September, which is almost 2 years ago now, Goodreads boasted that they had more than 150 million users. These are users worldwide that you can connect with. These are authors using the platform to help launch their books and have reviews for their ARCs, which are advanced reader copies. This was, and still is, a large platform in how many people get book recommendations and how many people track their books. Also in 2023, though I didn't find the month that this happened in, we started to run into authors running into issues with AI, which really shocked me because in 2025, I know that AI writing is a big problem and generative AI is not something that I would like to read as a reader. And I know there are plenty of authors who don't use generative AI and who have come out against using generative AI. But when I saw this, I was shocked that in 2023, even though it was only 2 years ago, AI was not on my radar. And maybe that's just because I'm not really great with technology. But in 2023, we had an author, Jane Friedman, discovering that on the Goodreads and Amazon platform, there were 6 books that were published using her name, and they were most likely written with AI. Now, she did everything that she could by reporting these books and requesting that they would be taken down. However, she got pushback from both Goodreads and Amazon. I don't know, is it both if they are a merged company? In my brain, they're still 2 different things, but clearly they are not because Goodreads and Amazon pushed back and did not want to take down the AI generated books. Now, I do believe that they did eventually get taken down, but I didn't read the full article and I did get my information based off Wikipedia, but I checked the resources and to my eyes, they looked verifiable. If you want a deeper dive into this content, please let me know. I would love to do more research into it and provide another research-based video. But let me know what you guys want. I also know that in 2025, I have seen authors, when this type of thing happens, just come out to their social media and be like, hey, we're working on getting this issue resolved. Don't buy XYZ. And that has helped the issue of AI and stealing of names and stealing of work, really. But it still shouldn't be happening. That is a different topic for maybe a different video, though. So, hi, Artie. Now we're going to move into a screen recording of what the Goodreads app looks like on your phone, and we'll also do one on the computer. And while we're doing that, I will talk about some of the features that the app has and some of the biggest complaints from users. When you go to your phone and you navigate to Goodreads and you open the app, the first thing that you see is what they consider their home area. Now, this is what I would say is the community page, the part where you're going to be interacting with your friends and what they're doing. You can see when a friend has read a book and has rated it. You can see when a friend wants to read something, and through these things you can like or you can comment on their post. Additionally, you can see when they've made progress, and that progress is shown with a progress bar and how far your friend is into a book. Through the home screen, I navigated to one of my friends to give an example of when someone is making progress in a book. On Goodreads, you can very easily leave a comment with how far you are in a book, which enables interaction on the platform for the social aspect to be easier. You can also see that person's completed review when they've finished their book. And if you are very active in the social component, you can comment and talk to your friends on what they're reading. Now, if we navigate to the My Book section, this is what I would consider to be the you-specific page. You have your bookshelves, and you can create a new tag or a shelf, and you can label them pretty much whatever you want. The standard ones are want to read, currently reading, and read. So you can see on my account, I have 98 books that I have considered want to read. I have one book that I'm currently reading. This is the audiobook that I'm reading, and in all of my time on Goodreads, I have entered in 251 books. I will say this is not a comprehensive of all the books that I have read, because there are books that I didn't enter when there were phases in my life when I wasn't as active on Goodreads, and when I found that you can make challenges, I didn't want those books to count towards my challenge. This is all to say that there might be a way to do this that I have not figured out. As you can see on your My Books page, if you have a reading goal or a reading challenge for the year, that populates very easily. And you can also go in and update this goal throughout the year. When I started 2025, I believe my goal was at 50 books for the whole year, and we are just in the beginning of August, and as you can see, I have read 67 books. So I've gone in a couple of different times throughout this year and upped the amounts of books, the amount of books that I plan on, or I hope to read in 2025. You can also click to the Discover page. This is what I believe when the creators were talking about discoverability of books, seeing these lists and having readers pop into them, and they're based on books that maybe you've read in the past and what other people have read and what might be good to you. There's a search function. Now, when I personally use this, I typically just am on the home page and I go up to the top and search here. You can do this for a book or an author. So I'll use the book lore as an example. You can type in your word and it'll pull up everything that it thinks is associated with it, and probably specifically to you. So we have the top 3 results are books that I have read. We have Lore, which is the book I was looking for by Alexandra Bracken. We have Lore Olympus, and we have I'm Number 4 with the author title Pittacus Lore. This fourth book, is in the series Villains of Lore, and to be completely honest, that sounds good. So even though I was originally looking for lore to show you, I'm actually going to click in to this Blood of Hercules, and now I can see that of all the people who have rated it, it's staying a pretty solid 4-star. It's at 3.95, and I'm just gonna go ahead and round that up to 4. You can scroll down and see how many pages it is, when it was first published, the ISBN number. You can see the different star ratings, and you can even click into a specific subset. I believe, nope, that was a lie. I'm very sorry. You can see all of the different ratings and the percentage of people that have rated it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. And you can scroll down and see the different ratings. And now, since I'm getting 3 1-star reviews right off the bat, that makes me a little bit more hesitant to possibly add this book to my TBR. But if I did want to add it to my want to read, I could just go ahead and click where it says want to read. I can also click this caret and I can automatically add it to any of my bookshelves, or I can create a new one. Finally, we have this more option, and it can pull you to your profile, your friends, your groups, the different reading challenges, giveaways, top picks for you, 2024 choices. You can scan books, and there's settings and help. Briefly, I would like to talk about the largest complaints on Goodreads before we hop into the computer platform. The largest number one complaint, with which I agree with, that this is not a very phone-friendly app. This app was designed in 2006 for computers, and to this day works better on computers. It's difficult to find friends and add friends on Goodreads. You can't just search for them. I honestly end up just sending a link all of the time to my friends when I find out that they have a Goodreads and link that way. But it's not the easiest to do. Now, if we go into my profile, this is going to take you to my books, my friends, and I can scroll this way. If we scroll here, this is a sneak peek for the reading recap, because these are the books that I read in July. We can see what I've rated the books, and this is another large issue complaint that people have with the Goodreads application, is that you can only rate things in full stars. You can't do 3.5 or 2.5 or 4.5. I don't know why I focus solely on halves. There's also 0.75 or 0.25, but you can't do that here. You have to give them full stars. Finally, I do have 2 more things written down as complaints. These are not complaints that I have personally experienced, but they are complaints I found while doing research into Goodreads, and that is that it's very easy for review bombing to happen on this application, where really anyone can go in and say that they've read the book and just rate it terribly to drag down the rating. And then another complaint that I saw, again, not really a complaint on my end because I don't really use Goodreads for recommendations besides what my friends are reading, is that it doesn't have a good system or algorithm to give you good recommendations. But that's enough of what this looks like on a phone. Let's hop into what it looks like on your computer. All right, now we are on the computer and we are on the Goodreads main page. So if you're on the computer and you're on your Goodreads home, you can see what you're currently reading, you can see the percentage, and you can update your progress. You can click in to see all your books, you can add a book or do a general update. You also have your books, you have my books, which is the books you're reading, or your shelves. You can browse and you have community. If you scroll, you can see where you are in your reading challenge, and you can see your friends' updates, and you can, just like you are in the app, you can like or you can comment on what your friends are reading. You can see your notifications. You can see if you have any messages. So I am technically part of a book club at work, and you can see your messages, which for me is just a whole bunch of updates on my book club from work that I don't read enough of the books they suggest because I'm a mood reader. You can go to your friends and see what your friends are reading or how many friends you have. And you can also go into your profile. You can change your picture. You can change your information. This will all hopefully be redacted. You can see my favorite books, where I am in the Goodreads challenge, and what I'm currently reading and what I have read, and my recent likes, all in one space. The next app that we're going to talk about is Fable. Fable came into my realm of existence sometime last year when I was on Book Talk more and looking for another way to track my books off of Goodreads. And I saw different people promoting Fable as a good alternative to Goodreads. It still had the community aspects, but it also gave you some statistics and some really nice graphs. Now, I started using Fable in 2024, and when I had the idea for this video and started doing research into the 3 apps that I use, I could not find anything about Fable. The sources on Goodreads is like, here, let me tell you all about Goodreads. Back from 2006, we have you, girl. Not Fable. I could not find a single thing. So I actually don't have any history about Fable. Much like it did for me, it seems to have just popped into existence. Fully formed? I do know a little bit of current history, but again, I couldn't find this anywhere to give you verifiable information. I just remember getting an email about it and maybe seeing it on the community page that they are merging with another app. And I've seen some feedback on this, whereas some users are not happy on it. But I can't even tell you what app it was because I can't remember and I couldn't find it again on my feed. So, if you know, please let me know. And again, we can always dive deeper into these topics in another video if you like this sort of content. But even though this is a very short overview of Fable, let's pop into what the app looks like and we will talk about the features and some complaints. When you open your Fable app, you are brought to their version of the homepage. At the very top, you can see an easy way that you can track if you've read today. So this is my audiobook. I'm going to be reading from it later. I read today. Normally I would wait and do this after I read, and then you can also go ahead and track your progress here, either in pages or in percentage. One thing to know is that when you're starting a new book, if it's a physical book, both sides of the pages are empty, so you have to know how long your book is. Be okay peeking. I'm just going to hit update for now, and I'll go ahead and read later, but since I've already marked that I've read, I might just leave it where it is. This homepage is also the social page or the community page where you can see posts. This community page is for anybody who is public on their Fable. So you can scroll and see what people are saying, and it tries, I believe, to give you books that you would also be interested in. Next, you can go into clubs. I have tried to do a club before with one of my friends, and we both had some issues trying to figure it out. You can do private clubs, or you can search for public clubs and you can join, and that's a good way that you could meet new people. Fable also has an Explore tab. This is not something that I've used a lot. This is more of a Mackenzie thing. I don't really use the Explore tabs on these apps because I'm getting all of my recommendations either from what my friends are reading, or from booktubers or book talkers or bookstagrammers that I follow, or I just am walking around the bookstore. And I've actually recently made a friend at my local bookstore, and he will recommend me some really great reads. And I normally, whenever he recommends something, I normally get it because he has been pretty accurate on books that I like. But if this is something that you're looking for, there is the Explore tab here. Next you have your library, and this has your reading list. It has watch list, and like for TV, and it has ebooks. I don't use this tab often, but if you want to build a community off of more than just books, that is an option and a feature in Fable. Finally, in Fable, you have your profile, and this is one of the things that really drew me to Fable. Is I like the aesthetics of your own personal profile. It has this little AI summary, which in my mind, like, this is like the chaotic good that AI should and could be. It like analyzes what you read, and it gives you a cute little blurb about the books that you've been reading. So right now mine is Romantic Sleuth. Your bookshelf brims with stories that unravel intricate mysteries with a dash of romance. Like a literary detective, you discover romance and inspiration hidden inside these books. And then you can be like, yeah, I don't really agree with that. Or you can say, yeah, I do agree with that. And I really enjoy this little, oh yeah, these are the type of books I'm reading. You can also change your color. So let's try a dark green. You can see me struggle there, and it changes all of your vibes. We can go with a dark purple. Ooh, I like that. We're going to keep that for right now. This also keeps track of the books that you've read. This has a streak. So my longest streak is 79 days, and it tells me what I normally rate books. So an average book for me is actually pretty close to 4 stars. But maybe that's just because I've been picking good books recently. Here we also have a reading goal or reading challenge for the year. And this one displays it as a little flower, and how full your flower is how, like, percentage-wise you're done. It breaks it down even further. Of the 67 books I've read, this kind of graphic shows you how many books you read each month. So we can see that February, I really crushed it. But I also did a lot of graphic novels in February, so I think that's my max right now at 15. I got pretty close in June at 10 books, and July and May at 9 books. So we'll see if in the month of August I can get even closer. I have lots of vacation planned in August, which means maybe I'll be reading a bit more. Another thing that I really like is that it analyzes the average amount of books you've read, and then it gives you an estimate of when you're going to meet your reading goal. So right now, at the current pace that I'm reading, I'm on track to meet my goal in December, which is great because that's the end of the year. Scrolling down further, we see again another thing about reading streaks. My longest is 79 days this year. And this is another thing that I really like. This is probably Fable's most interactive graphic, is this calendar. So let's pop back into July. And I love that it shows you all the different books that you read in a day, and it has your streaks. So we can see that I've read every day in June, every day in July, and so far every day in August. I was doing well with doing every day in May, and then the very last day of May, I wasn't able to read. We have reading insights, which we have genres read, and I do like
this layout of this graphic of breaking down the types of books you read in a circle. One of my complaints is that this is not an interactive graphic. You can't tap on the different genres and like have it pull up your list of books in those genres. We talk about average rating again, so it breaks down how many books I've rated each thing. And you can see that on Fable, you can break it down into 0.5s or quarters when you are reviewing books, which I find very, very handy. And then finally, we have your most read authors section. So we can see that Rachel Smythe is the person I've read most this year with 8 books. Ellie Alexander is a lot of books at 6, followed by Alexandra Bracken at 5. I'm hoping to get 2 more Alexandra Bracken books read this year and pull her up to 7, but we'll see. And this just, anytime you read at least 2 books from an author, they appear on this list in the order from most books read to least books read. Some other complaints about Fable beyond the non-interactive graphs is, honestly, I can only think of the merger recently that I saw that some other users were not entirely thrilled about that. But I don't have too many other complaints. One of the things that I like about Fable is that if I've forgotten to log a day of reading, I can go into settings and I can scroll down to edit streaks log, and I can just go ahead and tap into a day and be like, no, I did read, I just forgot to update it that day, which this has been updated this year. I feel like maybe that was my other big complaint at the beginning of the year. They didn't have that option. So I lost my longest reading streak, but only because I forgot to log a day. And beyond that, let's pop over into what it looks like on the computer.
And now we're on Fable on the computer. Full disclosure, this is an app that I rarely go on the computer for. In fact, I've really only gone on the computer to try and link it to my YouTube channel. So if any of you are on Fable, you can find me. But it feels mostly like it's basically just what you see on your phone, on a website. So whereas Goodreads is primarily made for a website and has trouble or not great reviews on phone application, it seems like Fable would be the reverse of this. Basically everything I showed you in the app version of the phone, same for here. You can export things, but you can't click in to any of the sections to see what the books are. The last app that we're going to talk about in this video is StoryGraph, or the StoryGraph. This is another American-based and founded company that helps you track your books. This app and the company and its founders, they've come out and said that they will be a competitor of Goodreads/Amazon, and I think they are following through on that statement. The StoryGraph was founded in 2019, and as of February of this year, 2025, hey Nike, they are proud to say that they have 3.8 million users. Now, that is significantly less than Goodreads, but they haven't been operating as long as Goodreads have. Whereas Goodreads seems to focus on the social interaction of what are my friends reading and rating things, StoryGraph seems to be focused on you as an individual. What are you reading? What are your statistics? How does this map out? They make sure that their graphs and their data is easily interactive for their users. They do have less of a social platform. However, they do still have that social aspect. Whereas when we log into the app, you will see that instead of the social platform being the homepage, the statistics and you entering your own data is the homepage. Where if you want the social interaction, you have to navigate to that section of the app. I don't know how much I want to say on this. I have a lot listed as pros of this app that aren't necessarily features. So I guess I am just going to go ahead and cover that here before we dive into the actual screen share. Like I said, StoryGraph focuses more on you as an individual and what you're reading. I would say, though, that how you can find your friends on StoryGraph is easier than finding friends on Goodreads. And with that, let's jump into the screen share recording, whatever it should be called. Let's hop into that and we'll talk about the features and the complaints and benefits of this app.
And now we're looking at the StoryGraph app. When you pull open this app on your phone, this pulls you into a home screen that is more specific to you. You can see what you're currently reading. So right now my current read is Realmbreaker. If I had more than one, it would list them out here. There is a little streak fire up here. This has recently undergone an update, and since this is an audiobook, it doesn't count towards my physical reading streak, which is an update, and I'm honestly okay with that. And now I know for next year. One of my favorite things about the StoryGraph is that its founder and its team seem to really prioritize listening to what their users would like to see in the app and then adding it. So I feel like there's something new every month or every other month that I can discover, and there have been times where I open the app and I see something new and I didn't even know that this was something that I wanted or needed, but now that it's there, it's such a game changer. So when you read for the day, you can very easily hit this pencil button and it remembers your preference. So since this is an audiobook, if I were tracking it through how many hours I'd listened to it, it would remember that. But since I am tracking it through my Libby app and it just tells me a percentage, I've chosen percentage. You can add a note and have a comment based on what you're reading. But as I said when we were going over the history of StoryGraph, this app seems much more focused on you and less focused on the community aspect. So you have to go and actively search for the comment or the review. You'll also notice here that this has my buddy read tag. I've displayed the buddy read on this channel before. This just allows you to get with a group of people and read the same book and then have comments about that are hidden from you so that you don't accidentally spoil something for yourself. On your home page, you have your to be read pile of all the books that you're interested in, which I find very handy. And then you can scroll further down. I don't normally scroll this far down, but it has popular this week for book recommendations, and it also has a giveaways tab. You have a search function with either you being able to type in the name of a book or the name of an author, or you can scan the barcode. And then it has a little notifications tab. So we can pop into the notifications, and most of my notifications are always going to be for my buddy reads. as me and my friends read and we leave our comments, it will notify the other people that comments have been updated, or maybe someone has responded to something that I've left. I'm not going to go into that here only because we've already talked about that in a different video. The next thing that you can see is your reading statistics. Now this top tier, in my opinion, for reading stats. You can change up what stats you're viewing, so you can look at the books you've read, your TBR, owned books, and now here's something that I don't know if I remember to mention, but the StoryGraph, like Goodreads and Fable, is a free app. It does have a premium, or I guess they call it a plus level, which you pay some amount of money and you can get these extra things, which I'm not gonna lie, I have definitely thought of doing before because I really like it. But for now, I just have the free version. So you can change your stats or what you're looking at. You can change the year that you're looking at, and you can even make it down into different months, or if you leave it just as month, it's going to show you the whole year. We have streak counters. You'll see that my streak is different on the StoryGraph than it is on Fable, and that is because users were requesting a streak feature, and so they added that this year. It has an option for you to view your last year's reading wrap-up, and then it has the different ways that you can see your statistics. For most people, you're going to be in standard like myself, but if you do pay for the plus, you can customize it. So now let's get into the graphs. It shows you that I've read 66 books. It shows you how many pages those books are and how many hours. Now, I think that this is off because when the year started, they didn't have this hours option. It was just how many books you've read and how many pages that was. And they listened to their users and they added in hours. So I've definitely listened to more than 4.3 hours in audiobooks, but because this division happened like during the year while I was reading, before that update came in, those hours were all added to my page count, so that's why there's this discrepancy. But then moving forward and starting next year, it'll be more split up, which again, I never thought that I would need this distinction, but I really like it. It goes in to show me the average amount of time it takes me to complete a book. Right now, it's showing as 5 days. It has a mood pie graph, and you can pop in to the different graphs, and it'll show you what books are in that mood. It also has pace, page number, audiobook length, which is very new. So again, I think the data that comprises this graph isn't 100% accurate for this year, and that's totally fine. It's going to be more accurate as time goes on. It has fiction versus nonfiction. You see my very tiny nonfiction little percentage, but it does exist. I do occasionally read nonfiction. You have your different genre breakdown, and then you have your format. I know what you're thinking, Mackenzie, what is this 2% digital? That was a Mackenzie error. It's supposed to be living with the print, but I cannot figure out how to change it, and that's okay with me. We're just going to let this live, and since doing that, I am now more careful when I am selecting what format I'm reading. Just like the first graph, every graph, if you tap into that chart, it'll pull up all of the books that are physical or whatever slice of pie you're looking at. We have our most read authors, And what is very cool, if you are multilingual and you read books in different languages or listen to books in different languages, this will appear too. I am currently only reading books in English, so right now all of my books are in English. This chart is our number of books, pages, and minutes broken down throughout the year and through the months. The minutes listened is completely new. Honestly, this wasn't even in the chart. I think the last time I looked at this part of StoryGraph, so it's not totally accurate. We all know that I was listening to audiobooks from the beginning of the year, but I'm fine with it because they're actively working on adding things that their users want. So moving forward, this will become more accurate, and I'm excited to see where it is next year. And our last graph of your statistics is your average ratings. Now, before we move on, I do just want to give a little show of what it looks like when you do a certain month. So we're just going to pop into July. And as you can see, everything is the same as what it is when you're looking at the whole year, but this is specifically for July. So this is telling me 10 books read in July. I think I finished up one of my last June books on like the first day of July, so I included it in June because it was a very small amount, but technically I finished it in July. And pages and hours. For July, it only took me 4 days to finish reading my books, instead of the 5 that it's taking me on average for the year. And we just see everything that we saw when we were looking at the whole year, but what I really wanted to show you is this graphic down here and how it shows you instead of the whole year, we now see every single day. Moving on, we have the challenges section of StoryGraph. You can see right now I have a books and pages challenges. You can set an hours goal. I've decided not to set an hours goal because it's now August and I'm just going to wait and do that next year. But this will help keep you active and updated, and you can add challenges and see what other people are doing for challenges. So if we click add challenge, it pulls in all of the different challenges that are going on, and you can add them or you can create your own. We have a community page so you can see who you're following and who you're friends with, and you can see what they've been listening to and what they've rated things. This isn't as interactive or community-based as Goodreads or Fable, so that can be a flaw, if you want to call it a flaw, or a complaint, that if you do want that interactive community-based platform, maybe the StoryGraph isn't the platform for you. Finally, you have your own little profile. It will give you your streak, your books, and your books that you've read this year. My biggest complaint for the StoryGraph is their import from Goodreads function isn't great, or at least when I did this in 2024, it did not pull over all of my books, and I decided to just move forward with the books that it did pull over. So my number of books are never going to be accurate because I wasn't able to pull over all of my books from Goodreads. They've recently added this bookshelf of favorites, so you can go in and you can mark the books that are your all-time favorites, and if you have more than 5, it will shuffle every time you come back. This tells you what you're primarily reading, so I mainly read fiction books that are funny, lighthearted, and emotional. I typically choose medium-paced books that are between 300 and 499 pages long. We won't click into it right this second, but from here you can go to your reading journal or your stats. It has your current reads, your recently read, and your to be read pile. And it has your challenges. You can easily find your reviews. You can easily find your 5-star reads. And it also lets you see the books that you physically own, or maybe that you own the audio or digital versions. Now let's scroll back up and hit reading journal. And this is just showing you all the times you have updated your progress. So we can see when I was reading Dating and Dragons, we can see the small amount of times that I've gone in and updated for Realmbreaker. And yeah, now let's head over to the computer to see what this looks like on the computer. And now we have the StoryGraph web page or website computer version. You have who you are, what you're currently reading. You can see your reading journal or all of the books. You have your shelf and the same thing that you've seen on the phone will all be found on the computer page as well. You can go into stats and you can easily see the exact same things we saw on our phone. And you can easily go into these different pies. I guess one easier feature is going into the smaller ones that maybe only have one book. That might be a little hard to do on your phone. But beyond that, I'm going to sneeze. Beyond that, everything is just like what we saw on the phone. This graphic does look a little bit better on computer because there's just more space for it. Everything else is very similar to what you would find on the phone and is very easy to use and read. Here we have, I didn't really show this on the app, but you can do it on your phone as well. This is just the giveaway section of different books that you can apply or enter this giveaway and possibly get a book from the StoryGraph. You have your notifications tab, your manage account tab, anything that you could possibly.
Hey everybody, editing Mackenzie here. If you've made it this far in the video, I just want to thank you so much. Like, this is a brand new baby YouTube channel, and I've learned so much. This has been going on less than a year, and I had this idea for this video. I don't know if you can hear Artie, but she is at my feet meowing and screaming at me. But I had an idea for this video, and I thought to myself, it's not going to be that hard. I've learned so much. I'm going to put it together, and it's going to be so much fun. And it was so much fun. But editing it has been such a learning curve. I'm learning how to blur things for privacy, even though names that you could have seen were mostly people with public accounts. I don't want to take any risk, and I want to respect people's privacy. So, with all of the blurring and some of the weird audio things, I hope that this was a fun video still for you, and I hope that maybe a couple years in the future, maybe not even that long, we can do something like this again. And now I know how to do it, and now I know what I'm getting into, and it's not the night before I need to be up at 3 a.m. to catch a flight. But enough of this. Let's close out this video. Well, thank you so much for exploring the different reading apps and the different ways you can track and keep a catalog of the books that you're reading with me. I had a great time digging up some information, pretty surface level, but if you want to do a deeper dive, I can go ahead and give that a try. Just let me know. And just thank you for going along with me. If this video has brought a new app to your attention that you think you're going to try, I'm very excited. And I wonder what you think is your favorite app. I think after using all three of these apps consistently for about a year at this point, I have a clear favorite, and that is the StoryGraph. I think they listen to their users and they are constantly adding things that are amazing to their platform. And if I could get all of my books over to the StoryGraph, I would probably be completely off the other two. But for right now, I will be staying with all three of my apps. Unless you guys tell me about even more, and then maybe I'll add more than three, which absolutely bonkers. Next week, we're going to talk about all of the books that I read in July and do a reading recap. We got a little sneak peek of what I was reading on this video because we were using my accounts as examples. And until next week, bye!